So they told us this is what they were going to do. They telegraphed it, lest we forget. Chuck Schumer, back in 2017, 2018. Remember this little juicy nugget of info?
Hasn't been delayed. But he's taking these shots, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you.
Oh, and that's a threat.
Even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I am told, they are very upset with how he has treated them and talked about them.
Very upset. See, Chuck Schumer knows better. Chuck Schumer knows how to be a good lapdog. Chuck Schumer knows how to be a good boy, play nice with the intel community, play nice with the establishment, play nice with the deep state, play nice to the people who are who kept him in office, playing nice with all these people who have lined their pockets with our taxpayer dollars, whose bottom lines, like the military-industrial complex, the scientific and technological elites, their bottom lines are kept solid by we the people, by our tax dollars. And he knows better than to go against them and the intel community who is backing them up. So they told us they were going to attack Donald Trump, and that is what they have done. We're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss how they're going to dovetail what they're doing to Donald Trump into another possible pandemic or another health scare or some other scary situation that is going to try and sway a few percentage points away from Donald Trump and over to Joe Biden in November. This is all engineered. This is all to control messaging. This is all to control us, and we have to be smarter, wiser, and we have to be awake, which is why you're here. So thank you all so much. Let's go ahead and get into it. I'm Jared, and this is Continue Freedom. This is going to be one heck of a show. Okay, and welcome back to Continue Freedom. If this is your first time here, welcome aboard. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave some comments below if you happen to like this content. But let's go ahead and get right into it. Donald Trump, if you missed my video yesterday or if you didn't see any of the news yesterday, no, I don't want a software update, but thank you, Apple. Breaking, New York jury finds President Trump guilty on all counts in Alvin Bragg business records case. So this was an unprecedented situation. It's the first time a president has ever been convicted of a felony. And some people on Twitter definitely had some things to say. This is Geiger Capital. He said the first felony conviction of a former U.S. president wasn't for the Iraq or Afghanistan wars, illegal CIA coups, drone striking weddings, or spying on Americans. It was because Trump misclassified a $130,000 payment for a porn star's NDA. Tells you everything you need to know. That's absolutely right. And of course, Elon Musk had to respond. Yeah, if you look down there at the bottom. This is, when you talk about Barack Obama and the assassination of an American citizen on foreign soil without due process, that is an actual felony. That is an actual crime that was committed by the president of the United States at that time, Barack Obama. Abdul Rahman Anwar al-Awlaki. He was killed. He was assassinated by the president of the United States without due process. The president can't do that. The president does not have that kind of authority. Due process is one of our constitutional rights. They violated those constitutional rights, and yet nothing happens to him. He's still living on the vineyard. He's still living the good life with no concern, no worry of being prosecuted. Why? Because he played nice with the deep state. He played nice with the intel community. He played nice with all the special interests and all the lobbyists. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is fighting for the American people. He's trying to get rid of all that, and this is the price that he pays. This is why I said yesterday that he's the guy who he's the perfect man at the perfect time. And it's in some ways gives me a lot of hope in our country, and maybe God still has his hand on our republic because he gave us the one guy who could actually afford to fight this fight, who actually has the strength and willpower to fight this fight. And yes, he's an unsuspecting character to help save our republic. He's not going to be the end-all, be-all, but to at least get the ball moving in the right direction. He's an unsuspecting character, but, unsuspecting characters have done some pretty amazing things over the years. And if you're thinking that, oh, I can't like him or I don't like him because he's this flawed individual, we could talk about the speck and the plank. That's biblical, but all of us are fallible human beings. Every single one of us, and people, for some weird reason, think that we're going to have some messianic figure come in and fix things, and that's not the case. It's going to be brute force, willpower, determination, common values, our Constitution, our Judeo-Christian principles, standing firm to our Bill of Rights, and Donald Trump is trying to do that. He said in an interview with Tim Pool the other day that Yeah, the first time around, and he was open and honest about it. He said, the first time around, I was listening to all these advisors because I'd been in Washington, D.C. 8 or 9 times over my entire life. And all of a sudden, I'm the president of the United States. I didn't know who to trust. Now I know who to trust. Now I know that the deep state is an actual thing. Now I know that there are people that exist in this political sphere who are solely meant to contort and manipulate the people that come into office to make sure that the bigger system doesn't become disrupted. Donald Trump started to disrupt that system, and that's why they are attacking him. But my bigger take on this is that this is lawfare, and lawfare is what the Democrats are going to think that they're going to be able to get away with, just carte blanche, without any pushback, without any issue. They are going to take this lawfare and run with it. If there's ever a Donald Trump type figure that dares to rear its ugly head, then they are going to squash it just like they're squashing Donald Trump. And so it's meant to be a warning. But my take is, if they want lawfare, lawfare is what they shall have. Lawfare is what they should have. And we have to fight back with some of these conservative district attorneys that we've got. We've got Ken Paxton in Texas. We've got Jonathan Skrmetti of Tennessee, Tim Griffin in Arkansas. And I mean, come on, in Arkansas, you've got one of the best governors in the country. You've got Lynn Fitch of Mississippi, Dave Yost in Ohio, Ashley Moody in Florida, Chris Carr of Florida. Chris Carr was not as Florida. Ashley Moody, I forget where they were. But either way, these people need to do their part. You got to start burying these politicians in lawsuits and full-on lawfare. It's not going to stop until they get a taste of their own medicine. I'm tired of the Republicans sitting back and playing nice with a Democrat Party that has zero principles. They have no morals, and they have no concern for our Constitution, and they loathe our American values. They hate our American values because they're trying to undermine them at every single turn. And so this is a political party that's become amoral. And you can't fight fair. You can't fight nice. You can't be diplomatic with an organization like that, particularly because they control so much of that big machine that I was talking about. If you want to beat them, you have to give them a taste of their own medicine. And so if all of this going on with Donald Trump hasn't been chum in the water for all these legal sharks in these conservative strongholds, these Republican strongholds, then I don't know what's going to do it. I really don't. I have no idea what our recourse will be if we don't start taking some action, because the Democrats aren't afraid to do it. Letitia James and Dalvin Bragg up in, all these people, they're absolutely not afraid to use the legal system to their benefit. Why are we not doing the same? And I mean, Tim Pool makes a good point here. I'm really excited for Trump being found guilty on administrative white-collar crimes, because it means now we can charge Obama and Bush for murder, and everyone will take it seriously. This is the second and third order effects of what they're deciding to do. Megyn Kelly, she said, guilty on all counts. The country is disgraced. Alvin Bragg should be disbarred. They will rue the day they unleash this lawfare to corrupt a presidential election. Absolutely, amen. And there's a guy, I know this name is weird if you've never heard of him, but he's called Cat Turd. And the guy's got millions of followers. He was actually interviewed by Tucker Carlson, which is funny. He's just a good old boy who makes some really common sense arguments. But this was his tweet here recently. Dear Republican Party, GOP, I don't want to hear another damn word about Ukraine, about Israel, about Gaza, about Taiwan, about any other country except the USA. You America last war pigs. The fascist Democrat Party, he went on an absolute tirade. But he's right. These people are crapping on the Constitution, on our legal system. I said yesterday that that Lady Justice no longer wears a blindfold. Lady Justice wears a blue necktie and a donkey pin for the Democrat Party. This is how they have shaped our system, and this is what we are fighting back against. And so, to a certain degree, yes, this is political theater. Do I think that Donald Trump is going to go to prison? Honestly, there was a time where I thought maybe not, but I firmly believe that he will. I believe that they will put him in prison. That the perfect scenario for them, they think the perfect scenario for them, is Donald Trump in an orange jumpsuit sitting in a cot. Some photographer is going to come in, take a picture of him, and it's going to be splashed over every ad you could imagine. And they're going to be saying, look at this, he's a convicted felon and he's in prison. How in the world could you ever vote for somebody so immoral, so wrong? He's the lowest of our society. And I think that would be a perfect scenario for them. I don't necessarily think they have to do that. I believe that just by saying he's a felon will sway a lot of the uninformed voters. Because if you ask folks, and I come across people all the time, I've become more open. I used to shy away from it, but now, I mean, I'm doing political commentary on a regular basis. I just want to know what people think about politics. I want to know what's driving people's decision making. And a lot of people, when you talk to them, they say, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, he got convicted of a felon. Yeah, we shouldn't have a felon in prison. And they just go on with their life. They don't pay attention. They don't understand the severity of this situation. So the Democrat Party doesn't need to have him in prison necessarily. And these would probably be concurrent, these 34 charges. Now, I also briefed yesterday that they had told the jury, gave them very vague and very strange instructions. In fact, they had to keep calling the judge in over and over and over again to get him to explain his instructions to the jury. But to distill it down, he essentially said, Judge Merchan said, all you have to do is find him guilty of something, and there doesn't even have to be a consensus. There's a lot of charges here. If 3 of you think he's guilty of one thing, 3 of you think he's guilty of another, a few more think he's guilty of something else, as long as there's a consensus that you all think one of these crimes was committed by him, then we'll just convict him, and that's all that's required. That's all that was required to find a guilty verdict, which is a complete miscarriage of justice. If you had taken Donald Trump's name out of this whole scenario and said, you know what, this is a black man who was arrested by police in Detroit. And the judge said, we think that he may have, there's the possibility that we're saying that he did all of these charges. You don't have to find beyond a reasonable doubt. If a couple of you seem to think that he did commit this one, a couple of you seem to think that he did commit this crime, we're just going to get him on all of it and we're going to throw the book at him. Do you think that there wouldn't be uproar and there wouldn't be anger and frustration and say, this is a miscarriage of justice. This is the system being used against, this minority group. No, of course you would. But if it's Donald Trump, it's perfectly acceptable. And in fact, it's praised by a lot of people. I was listening to Adam Kinzinger the other day, who's, again, I will say the biggest narcissist on Twitter, by far, bar none, the biggest narcissist on Twitter. And he's left, but had what would have been a job of purpose, which would be representing people in his state. Instead, he becomes a Twitter troll. That's his entire MO. That's all he does now. He doesn't do anything else. He's just a Twitter troll. And he was jumping up and down, oh, this is great, and the people of New York did their job. Ha-da-da-da-da. But if this had been somebody in the Democrat Party, he would have been doing cheetah flips. He would have been screaming and crying and saying that this is a misuse of the judicial system. This is a misuse of our legal system. Oh, how dare we shun Lady Justice? Or how dare we push Lady Justice aside for partisan politics? This shows how hypocritical that they are. But anyway, I believe that this is also part of a larger scheme. We know that the election's coming up. We know that Donald Trump is looking like he's going to have a landslide. So they need to frighten us in some way, shape, form, or fashion. They have to scare us back into our homes, have us scurry back into the house, and be able to manipulate the elections in a unique and interesting way. And in this instance, this is foreshadowing, I believe. U.S. looking closely at vaccinating workers exposed to bird flu. So shots from CSL, Seqirus, and GSK are among those being considered. Officials in the United States, Canada, and Europe are considering the vaccination of workers and others against the highly pathogenic avian influenza. The U.S. government is looking closely at possibility of vaccinating farm workers and others in close contact with the virus, according to Don O'Connell, the Assistant Secretary for Preparedness, in response to the U.S. Administration for Strategic Preparedness and Response. So bird flu has been all over the news. They've been leaking it a little here. They've been leaking it a little there. Oh, we've heard the rumors of these things being genetically manipulated so that they have significantly higher mortality rates. And this gain of function research, which is what that is, I reported a few weeks ago that we've already found out that we were, yes, paying the NIH for gain of function research in the Wuhan lab where we got the coronavirus. Now we're looking at bird flu because think about how effective that was as a tool against the American people. It was insanely effective. Being able to see people turn against one another, being able to see people scurry into their homes and stay locked away and not touching or being near their family members, putting people in total isolation. I watched my father-in-law go through this. total isolation and what that did to his psyche and to his health and to his body, being put in total isolation. And they got their rocks off on it, but it was also a great social experiment that, you know what, we can more effectively control elections when people are locked away in their homes. The same people that are going after Donald Trump are the same people that are going, and it's not, I don't think, sometimes I question whether there's a cabal of people doing this. I just think that it's a lot of people that are all following the same immoral worldview, and they know their part. Their part is control. Their part is crushing the human spirit in order to bring about this, greater communist regime, which I believe is what they are ultimately seeking. And to do that, you have to crush the U.S. economy. You have to crush, we can get into that on another day. But disease is an effective way for them to do that. And by the way, this is from the Epoch Times. So we also know that during the last pandemic, we had billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars that were made. And Russell Brand reminds us of this. I'm going to go ahead and play this video from him. But it was pretty genius how he laid this out. He was on Bill Maher's show.
Corporations like Moderna and Pfizer made $1,000 of profit every second from the COVID-19 vaccine. More than two-thirds of Congress received campaign funding from pharmaceutical companies in the 2020 election. Pfizer chairman Albert Bourla told Time magazine in July 2020 that his company was developing a COVID vaccine for the good of humanity, not for money. And of course, Pfizer made $100 billion in profit in 2022. And may I just mention, finally, and this is also a fact, that the American public, funded the development of that. The German public funded the BioNTech vaccine. When it came to the profits, they took the profits. When it came to the funding, you paid for the funding. All I'm querying is this.
Yes.
Is if you have an economic system in which pharmaceutical companies benefit hugely from medical emergencies, where a military-industrial complex benefits from war, where energy companies benefit from energy crises, you are going to generate states of perpetual crisis.
Yes.
There you go. States of perpetual crisis. And this is what we are in now. We have a political crisis. We are about to have economic crisis, health scares, health crises. All of these things are orchestrated, manipulated, and think about how many of these we've had in the past 4 years since the last election. No. But we get into an election year, you got to ramp it back up again. Everybody be afraid. Everybody be afraid. Everybody be afraid. And so pharma was the test bed just to see how compliant we would be, how, they made profit, that's fine. But the most important part is our compliance. And hundreds of millions of people were compliant. And this is people that are making billions, people that are making hundreds of millions, people are making that. There's lemmings that are excited by that, and that's fine. That's their, they want to turn a profit. I got it. But it's the people that doesn't matter. If they make another 100 million, their life doesn't change. The point of diminishing returns for buying things and having material things eventually declines. You listen to, I listened to Ed Milet talk about this. He's a brilliant guy, amazing guy. And I was listening to him talk about, you buy that car when you're 16 and you get this endorphin rush, you get excited. But then you become rich and you buy a plane. Eventually that wears off too. So buying a Lambo in some ways doesn't give you the same rush that buying your first car at 16 did, because you've got the money. It's not that necessarily that big of an investment for you or a purchase for you, because obviously a Lambo is not an investment. But it eventually wears off. Well, what's the next natural step for some of these people? When you've got the whole world at your fingertips, it's controlling people. How can you manipulate people? How can you not just shape your world, with on your lavish properties and all your, beautiful estates like the Soros family has? No, you can control that world. I need a bigger world to control. I need a bigger world. How about the American people? How about Europe? How about we control the EU? How about we control NATO? How about we control countries, entire countries, which is what George Soros has done. Just buying out and then leveraging countries. And so control over people, that's the new metric. That's the new metric for these sadistic individuals. And we're meaningless, faceless people. If you're in a corporation of 100 million people or 100,000 people, and you have to lay off 10% of the population or 10% of your workforce, I mean, it's If you have to make a 1% cut, that's 1,000 people. Right? And so it becomes a little easier. You might feel bad. Some people have a conscience. I'm not saying everybody's like that, but at a certain point, when you say, I have to cut 10,000 jobs, that's going to look really bad on our numbers, and that's the angle that you take, when in reality, people aren't going to be able to pay their mortgages. People aren't going to be able to put groceries on their tables. There's actual moral damage that comes from that. And sometimes it's necessary. I'm not saying that it's unnecessary. I'm just saying that these people's response to it, when you're talking about influencing entire countries, when you're talking about gain-of-function research that killed tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, that becomes significantly easier to do the more separated you are. And these people are separated. The intel community is separated. The elites are separated. And all they can see is their ultimate vision. Everybody driving an electric car that they control, living in 15-minute cities, living their lives exactly how they want them to live. That's the ultimate control. They'll take that over another $1 billion all day long. All day long. And so we have, in times of stress and struggle like this, people turn to a lot of different places. A lot of people turn to the church. They say, okay, this is a tough, challenging time. I need some Jesus. And so they go to, well, what happens when this is your church?
Becca Gorell, Clergy, New England Annual Conference, She, Her, Hers, Queer White Adult. I'm very sorry to do this.
Deacon, Greater New Jersey, Adult White Male.
Thank you, Bishop. Good morning, friends. Cisgendered white lay male delegate from the Great Plains Conference.
Go ahead.
Clergy delegate from Minnesota, white, female, gay, adult, with pronouns she and her.
White, male, straight, adult.
Clergy, black woman,
white, adult, female.
African American, clergy woman, pronouns she, her.
White, non-binary person, my pronouns are they, them.
She, her.
I am a Latinx, lay, young adult.
Cisgender male.
Non-binary, white. I'm 34. I'm very confused on if I'm an adult or young adult. And a person living with disability.
So when people need guidance and people need wisdom from their ministers or their lay leaders or the people in their church, this is what the Methodist Church has given to their people, the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. They have the same big system has infected our religious institutions, and these religious institutions have now started to conform the Bible to the world rather than conforming their world to the Bible, which is the way that it's supposed to be. So people have no solace. They have no place to go. They're going to, the people that in that, if you're a rainbow-haired, non-binary pastor in the Methodist Church, you're going to go along with the party line, 100%. You are locked in. You are showing it. That's your flag. That's your marker. Rainbow hair, non-binary, they, them pronouns, all of that is your marker. We know exactly what you think. You think, I'm not going to make my own decisions and live my life with free will. I'm going to conform to the federal government. It's an absolute travesty, and I feel for the people. I really do. So, I'm gonna bring this back to Donald Trump again. I say all these things are being orchestrated because that's looking forward to November. Let's go back to Donald Trump. And who could possibly vote for a Donald Trump as president? Well, this is the guy. I will call him the avatar for the Donald Trump voters. This is who's going to vote for Donald Trump in November. This is from PragerU. I want to be this guy. There you go. We don't have to watch any more of that. But that's the person that is actually going to pull us out of this. It's the American, the person who loves this country, who still adheres to our morals and our values, who still believes in our principles, who's not just going to roll over and take it. And no matter how hard they try to crush our institutions and the ones that we rely on, like our Bill of Rights, like our Constitution, like our legal system, like our churches, like our communities, they're going to try and try and try to crush us over the next 6 months. And let's be like this guy. I mean, we're not going to let it happen. And they are trying as hard as they possibly can to stop people from even donating. We saw that the donation site for Donald Trump crashed yesterday. Well, how they think, this is how the Democrats think. The Democrats think that the only way that he's going to get money is through the big donors. That's what they really have to get rid of. They don't think about we the people giving him money. They don't think about this guy giving him money and the millions like him who are going to give him money. No, they're thinking about the big donors. They're thinking about the big donors and how they need to scare them off. Listen to this guy.
I'm finance director for Donald Trump in Mississippi, so we raise money. I've talked to a number of very wealthy individuals that God has blessed that say, I can't give money to Donald Trump because the FBI would show up at my door.
Wow.
And think of what you just said. If you make a legitimate, honest campaign contribution to the Republican nominee for president, the FBI will come to your door. And they acknowledge that's a reality.
In the United States of America.
In the United States of America.
Don't mess with the intel community. Chuck Schumer told us they'll come after you. They've got 6 ways from Sunday to get back at you. But they can try. But they will not prevail. They can try, but they will not prevail. This is going to be such an amazing awakening. Coming up between now and November, there's going to be more people like that guy. I love that. I'm going to use that video. That might be a staple in my show. They're trying to scare off the big donors. They're trying to scare off we the people. They're trying to cause health scares, and they're trying to gin up unrest by having students protesting at Memorial Day parades. This is Princeton. No, to heck with those men and women who served our country and paid the ultimate sacrifice. No. Let's talk about Palestine. Let's talk about the people that are infected by a genocidal cult. Those are the ones we need to support, not the men and women who died so that they could be out there marching. No. This is all the unrest. So when you watch it, this is smoke and mirrors. Stay focused. We have to stay focused as the American people and keep looking forward to November. All the distractions and all the things that are going to worry us. I'll talk about them here because I'm going to get angry. I got angry about the thing with Donald Trump, but I have to stay focused. We have to stay focused. In the end, we will be victorious. We've had struggles before. We'll have more struggles in the future. But if we stick to God, we stick to our Constitution, we stick to our Judeo-Christian principles, we realize that unsuspecting people like Donald Trump can be the ones to fight for us, then I think we'll be all right. I think we'll be all right. Or the whole thing will collapse. But I like to think that we can all be just be this guy. Oh, man. Okay. Guys, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave some comments below. Remember, I'm on X Locals, Rumble, and YouTube. I'm also on Instagram. I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere at Continue Freedom, although I don't post everywhere all the time. I'll see you guys in the next episode. I'll see you tomorrow. Friday and Saturday. Every Friday and Saturday is when I'm shooting for trying to shoot videos. So be sure to check in on this channel because I know that they're hiding it from some of you guys. So thank you all so much, and we'll see you in the next one. Love you. God bless you.